Hello guys and welcome to another edition of Rage Against the Dice. Today we're checking out an M10 tank. Now, because of which, I needed Sparks here with me because nobody knows more about these kind of tanks than Sparks. I mean, there will be people, but I mean of our friendship group. So, and it's your tank.
Yeah,
really.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, you'd be pretty annoyed if I started just messing with it, especially because I have no patience for building tanks. I like painting them, I like using them, I hate building them. This one, however, is a Rubicon kit. Rubicon kits are by far the best tanks for 156 scale.
Yeah.
Without question. You can pick them up direct from Rubicon, and I don't think the postage is overly expensive.
I think it's a $5 up to a certain point, then it goes free. For a member.
We normally put big orders in, so we combine together and we'll usually pick up a lot at once. I know I've got a Rubicon... What have I got coming? Flampanzer?
Yeah, the Hetzer.
Yeah, the Hetzer. And we're going to be using these for both Achtung Panzer and also, hopefully, for Bolt Action 3rd edition. Not Bolt Edition. That's not a real thing. One thing to note about these is you do have to use either super glue or their own proprietary super glue, don't you? Or their own plastic glue.
It's not proprietary. It's made by I think it's a Japanese company that
makes
really? Plastic Magic. But yeah, it's ABS plastic, so you need to use ABS approved cement.
Yes.
I think there are some Revel branded stuff that actually works on this. But it's a by basis thing.
However, the glue that we actually use for this is absolutely fantastic anyway, and works on on your GW style plastics.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's that same kind as the
Tamiya.
Yeah, Tamiya, where it's the brushed on plastic glue, which is always my favourite.
Yeah, it's halfway between Tamiya thin and Tamiya extra thin in consistency.
Yes.
So it's got a little bit more drying time than extra thin, but it's not as gloopy as the other stuff.
Now, with regards to this, can you remember where you picked it up?
Got it through eBay, but I think it was from, it might have been from Jadland Models.
All right.
Because quite a lot of my Rubicon kits came from them.
Yes.
It might be them, it might be not.
I know
it was through eBay.
There is a few sites, if you don't want to buy direct from Rubicon, you can get them from places like Firestorm Games has them. You can pick up some kits on Amazon. And with them, you get the free shipping and things like that. But
because they are a model company rather than a war games company, or they started out more as a model company than a war game company, you can buy a lot of these in model shops.
Very, very true. There's a one near us. I think Chesterley Street has a lot of Rubicon kits.
I think they do.
Which is really, really good. I think we've shouted out them
recently. They've started expanding into their own Vietnam War stuff with games rules, but a lot of the newer World War II tanks as well. Things like pintle machine guns. They have 2 machine guns to fit. One that's actually at scale and one that's got thicker barrels for war gamers. So they started out one way and they're starting to branch into more war game stuff because folks are using them for war game because they're fantastic for it.
As I said though, they're absolutely our favourite tanks. Of the stuff we've bought so far anyway. I mean, we might one day find some obscure brand somewhere that does 156 scale and we like them even more. But of the stuff we've bought so far, they definitely stand out for us. Yeah. So because it's Sparks's, I'm going to let him open it because I'll break stuff. I know what I'm like. Like we said, some of those barrels are a bit thinner.
It should be alright though. So, the sprues from Rubicon come in bags so that if anything pops off the sprue,
you don't lose it. Much like we previously did with one of the female Old West models.
Yes.
Where a torso popped off the sprue and I thought we'd lost it. And then I found it at the bottom of the box. So
transfers for US and Allies because, of course, an M10 Wolverine is also an M10 A1 Achilles.
Yep.
1C and 2C. Rubicon instructions. Shows you the sprue, what's supposed to be on it. Different things. Because these come for modelling more than wargaming, or initially.
Yes.
There are some kits that require you to drill parts out for different variants.
Yes.
This one doesn't look to be the case that I can see, but there are plenty of options. So, yeah, really, really good instructions. Just make sure you read them through first because of different variants. So, for example, you've got the M10 1C, the M10A1, different barrels for the 2C, Achilles 2C for British, different engine deck covers, and going on to the other page, the M36 Jackson.
Perfect. And which are you what are you building this as?
So, by the looks of things on these instructions, there are different bits towards the Jackson.
Yeah.
And the turret ring is different as well. Yeah, it looks like there's a smaller turret ring on this.
Oh.
The Jackson. So it's probably going to be an M10. Yeah. Oh, there's a turret ring insert for the small turret ring. There was a reason for that though. But looking at the numbering, the parts are all completely different. There's no shared parts between the M10 and the M36 turrets.
Right.
So I have plans for that. But I will be building this model up specifically as an M10.
Fantastic. So we'll have a quick look at the sprues, and then you're going to go and slave away building it so that we can show it off at the end. Because tanks on sprues, there's usually not a lot to them in terms of here's 10 head options, here's 10 different weapons options like you might get with a Necromunda gang, for instance. So it really does help to look at it built. Plus, like I said, Rubicon kits look gorgeous once they're done. Full disclosure, I've never built them. And why is that I've never built them, Sparks?
Because you're rubbish at building tanks.
I always make you build them, yes. Cost me a fortune in kittens. Not real kittens, sweet kittens. Other sweets he can be bribed with though, so.
Candy kittens, not sponsored, would be.
Yes, absolutely.
Specifically the watermelon.
Oh, very much so. Although Parker's got obsessed with the dragon fruit ones. They're not fizzy though.
No.
I'm not a fan. And the strawberry ones are quite nice though.
Yeah. Strawberry ones are the only strawberry flavoured things I'll eat, other than actual strawberries.
And there you have it. Again, not sponsored by Candy Kittens. Very much would be. So yeah, so you've got 3 sprues in here.
Yep.
I'm guessing you're going to run us through what they are.
So I'm just going to double check on the machine guns if there was a difference, or if it's just that there are 2 machine guns so that you can mount them on 2 different turrets. Yep. So this one, there's 2 50 cals, Brown and 50 cals.
Yep.
They are identical. They're not one or the other. It's just because there's 2 different turret parts. So got different engine decks.
Yep.
Different turret assemblies for the M10 and Achilles variants, and then the turret section for the Jackson, which is different. Still, again, we have main chassis. We have drive and the bottom of the chassis.
Yep.
We have over here various turret assembly bits and counterweights for the guns, because it is an open top turret. Different covers, back of the chassis, different transmission covers over here. Racks for the side of the tank. A few incidental parts to go in the turrets, different mantlets for the different turret styles, inner bogies for the back of the tracks, because the tracks are one piece, which is another reason why Rubicon kits are the best. You don't have to put individual track links,
especially as on. You know, that's the bit I hate doing.
They tend to be slightly less detailed than other kits on the tracks, or some of them. Yeah, so these are slightly less detailed on these track kits. The newer Sherman kits have really good detail on the front of the tracks, and then kind of basic detail the rest.
Yes.
So when you're looking at it front on, it's got the full grip on the track links, and on the back they're kind of somewhat flat, but you can still see the individual links, like these ones. They've kind of got the impression of track impressions, but they are good enough, especially when the rest of the kit. Couple of muzzle brakes. I think they're for the Jackson because those are huge. C14, C13, C14, C13. Yep, so World War II muzzle brake and post-war muzzle brake for Korea and stuff like that. And then gun barrels are all over here. So 3 separate gun barrels, another mantlet with another gun barrel. We have part B1 is for M10 and Achilles 1. C. B2 is post-war Jackson. The B12 is World War II Jackson with little slot here and the indent for the separate muzzle brakes.
Yep.
And then B10 and B7, is that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the 2C.
Ah, right.
Because it has the fancy muzzle brake on the front of the Achilles 2C for the 17 pounder. So yeah, so 2C, 1C and M10, post-war M36 and World War II M36. So yeah, a lot of parts. Very few of these I think are going to be left over once I'm done. Probably the British barrels.
Yes.
And one of the engine covers, because I can't use both of them.
That is true. So in terms of obviously the different types of tank, you'd need the different engine covers, but it does give you the option there. You will have enough to build both turrets. Is that correct?
Looks like I have enough to build both turrets, but because the inner turret ring for the Jackson turret needs to be put on the inside of the tank, I'll not be able to build both variants on this.
On that one.
And the different gun lock, barrel lock.
Right.
Having to cut the barrel lock down because of the different size barrel. So this is not a kit that you can build both variants out of once. However, you can build both full turrets by the look of things, which is good because I've got plans for that.
Intriguing. We might cover those later. But yeah, so now Sparks is going to feverishly go away and build these. He will have a built tank in no time. For you, it'll be instantly, but for us, it could be anything. But yeah, we're going to come back and we're going to have a look at it built because I want to see it built. And Sparks wants to probably use it in many, many games of Achtung Panzer, which, for the record, fantastic game. We've now actually played some games of it.
Theoretically, it'll get used more in bolt action, especially if it gets better in version 3. Because a lot of M10s were used by the 3rd Division.
Very true. Right. Let's go get some building. Back in a bit. Well, welcome back, guys. I've gone handheld again because I seem to be doing that more often when we're looking at the actual finished model, because I can get a bit closer and because I'm too lazy to set the tripod back up. We've been building a lot of stuff, so there's models everywhere. If we glance vaguely to either side, you'll see half-built models from upcoming videos, so you guys don't get sneak peeks. So Sparks got it built. Took about an hour?
Something like that.
Bit longer because he added loads of stowage and stuff. Or not loads for you, but some stowage.
Yeah.
How's the kit to put together?
Fine. I was going to leave the tracks off like I did with all the others to make it easier to weather behind the bogies, but because of the way the M10's built, the side skirts kind of block it in, so I've had to glue the tracks down on this one.
Yes. I'm just going to spin it around so people can see. So, as I said, you did put a chunk of stowage on there. Some of it is Warlords. Some of it's the actual stowage that you can get from Rubicon, isn't it?
Most of it's Rubicon stowage.
Yeah.
There's just a couple of bits here that I've stolen off you.
Yep. And a couple of the backpacks, I think, are from you.
Oh, that one is. The rest's all from the Rubicon US storage kit.
Ah, right. That's not bad. And I think they go for about sort of... Is it £18 or something, the stowage sets, or a bit less?
A bit less, I think.
Can't remember.
I've had mine a while, so I think it was a bit cheaper still.
Yeah. I mean, I know I ordered mine the same time as some other stuff. And again, I got them from Firestorm, so they're a bit cheaper there anyway. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous bit of kit. And I do recall there was some talk.
Okay. So it's the M10.
Yep.
If you want the M36 Jackson, there is a turret ring to slot in here before gluing in the ammo crates.
Yes.
Because the Jackson turret.
Right.
So you also need to cut off the barrel lock and put a new one on the back. So it doesn't fit, but there are enough parts to make a
so you could build up the second
full Jackson turret. However, there's a Sherman I made earlier.
Is this a Rubicon Sherman?
Yes, Rubicon M4A3 Sherman.
Yes.
105 howitzer.
Extra stowage.
Yep. And just for benefit, that one, because we didn't unbox this, I built it ages ago, also comes with a 75 turret.
Right.
So I've either got a 75 or I've got a 105 howitzer.
Yes.
Support tank. Thing is, though, is that towards the late end of the war, they started using the M4A3 bodies to put Jackson turrets on to make the M36B. So there's an M36B.
So when you said earlier you had schemes and plans.
And build the second turret so I can make an extra tank destroyer out of a spare Sherman if I don't want to use the Sherman.
So out of 2 tanks, you've technically got 4. Because you've got the 2 turrets there, turret there, and then obviously a tank there.
Yep.
I mean, you'd need 2 extra bodies to make all 4 tanks at once, but in bolt action you couldn't take all 4 tanks at once anyway, unless maybe in tank war? We've never actually looked at any of the tank war stuff in great detail.
I'd be doing a tank destroyer platoon, so it would be a Jackson leading, or an M10 or a Scout car leading Hellcats.
Yes, of which you have a few.
3.
And then more if we look at Flames of War. You might need to log into that. You might have an issue.
We also have 4 Flames of War M10s and 2 M36Bs as well.
Yes, yes, you do. So I mean, eventually this tank is going to be looking very, very similar to that in terms of the way it's painted. So it also gives people a kind of a glance at the paint scheme itself. Now, because we're covering a lot of Achtung Panzer and the games we're going to be filming are with fully painted models anyway. If I ever finish the tracks on my tanks, no judgment. There's lots of judgment. It's fine. So they'll see them painted up anyway. But yeah, your painting style for these is, well, it's really, really simple, isn't it? You use oil washers.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of painting guides out there on how to do it, but they look really good from it. I mean, if you get in there. But yeah, in terms of the tank itself, as we said, it took you around about an hour-ish to build, and that was, we're talking nerd at the same time, and you were building some other stuff from another video, and there was tea. So if you were probably at home building it, it's probably 45-minute kit.
If you put your mind to it, and if you know how to build tanks, yeah. Looks good.
Stowage wise, we're kind of big on stowage, especially I think it makes the tank stand out a bit more in Achtung Panzer.
When you're doing American tanks, when it's just a giant block of olive drab, you kind of need the stowage just to break the colour up a bit.
Yes, I mean
for a model. At
least with my tanks, there's camo.
Yeah.
I've the camo I've gone with.
But even then, dark olive drab green. I painted up my Fury.
Yes.
It's got camo on it.
Yes, it does.
But you can barely see it because it's black spots over dark green.
Yes. But no, I think stowage makes it stands out. It gives them a bit more character. And like you said, in something like Achtung Panzer, it kind of makes each tank feel like its own character, as opposed to just being like a tank on the battlefield, especially because of the campaign system and the way it works. You kind of want your tanks to feel like almost like living, sort of kind of breathing entities in terms of like, otherwise it's just a tank, it gets blown up, who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really like it.
With them being open top turrets, I think I need crew to go with them as well. But that's a personal thing.
And the Rubicon crews are a different size, as I recall, so you would have to buy Warlords or Perrys, maybe?
I'd be buying Warlords probably anyway.
Yes.
Definitely for the M10, the M36 turret. I don't know whether I would put crew in there or whether I would try and use some plastic art to make the cover. Because my Flames of War ones have the improvised armour over the top.
Yes, they do.
In the bell work, I might be able to put an improvised cover over the top of that and close it up. Keep it rules as written, but, you know, I wouldn't have to paint the inside.
Paint the inside or paint the guys.
Especially since you can see right into the bottom of that tank because of the way that it's made, same as this one, but it's quite shallow in there.
Right.
So I'll either have to paint the inside of that black or bung that full of crew.
There, so people
And extra storage.
Yes.
Or put the cover over. That's what I think about, but M10 was the main thing. That's an added bonus.
Yes. And again, Rubicon kits aren't particularly expensive.
About 23 quid for that.
About 23 quid for a tank, which similar price to what you're paying in Warlord. I think the Warlord ones are between sort of 21 to 30.
Yeah, depending on the kit.
Yeah.
But usually have less options.
Very true.
What's Warlord's Panzer 3 is a Panzer 3J, is it?
Yes.
And then there's 2 separate Rubicon kits, and the one that I have, I think there was about 9 different variants of the Panzer 3 made out of that one kit.
It's similar with the Panzer 4, I believe. The Rubicon Panzer 4 can make so many more options than the Warlord one.
Yeah, including granular ones.
Yes.
So don't make it 4G, but 4G of late or early war.
Yes.
This effect.
And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with the Warlord tanks. I mean, I've slagged them off in a couple of videos before, but that's usually when it's the Italieri ones. And anyone who's watched any of my videos knows that I despise those with a fiery passion. But we've talked about this before, and it's mainly because they're designed to be model kits.
At 1/35th scale.
At 1/35th. And they get scaled down to the 1/56th, and they lose... Well, they don't lose something. They're the same amount of parts to put together, but they're much smaller scale, and it's not as fun.
Well, these have been tooled for this scale, even as model kits as opposed to wargaming kits.
Yes.
They try to keep the detail in the right places, which is why your engine deck is a completely separate piece.
Yes, true. But yeah, so, I mean, I joked about it the other day, but it's kind of true. I really want to make Achtung Panzer a thing. There's small groups of people online popping up and starting to talk about it and paint up tanks and things like that for it. It has the potential to be a really, really big game. Now, full disclosure on it, it is much more granular. It's much more tactical than Bolt Action. But there's something about it that's really, really fun. Obviously we covered the rules in really large amount of detail. Was it like an hour going through the rules? And
something like that.
Yeah, and we're going to film some of we've played the first 2 missions so far.
Yeah, 50 points.
At 50 points. And that was my craft knife blade smashing. So there's a very, very good chance we'll film games at 50 points, but I think playing-wise, for us, we're probably going to play at 75, because you get a lot more fun toys on the field. We've been playing with 3 tanks each. Yeah, I was working on a list to get a 4th tank in, but I couldn't be bothered to write out the Puma card, as I recall. But we've actually sort of actioned that, because in the Facebook groups and things like that, people have started printing, making the cards to print out. A lot of German at the minute, a couple of American. Eventually, I'm guessing that's going to fill up with probably British. But yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to add to the whole tank debacle, the whole tank debate, if you will.
No. Wolverines are cool. I really like that. They make the extra turret, and it's compatible with their Rubicon's German kits as well.
It's kind of what you want. But yeah, looks really, really good. Can't wait to see it painted up. It will no doubt feature in a game at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether that be Bolt Action or Achtung Panzer, it'll definitely feature at some point in the game. So, guys, I'll go to the bit now that you know I hate to do, but it has to be done. Like, share, subscribe, social media BS. Leave us a comment. Let us know whether Achtung Panzer's kind of taken your fancy. If you're someone like Sparks or I or some of the other, dweebs on the internet, we're dweebs ourselves when it comes to tanks. You've probably got a stack of tanks that you kind of can only use one tank and one armoured car per game. Like, Acton Panzer's perfect for that. Get multiple of them out on the field. Yeah, the usual, guys. Pray at the dice gods. Hope to smile upon you. Say goodbye, Sparks.
Bye, Sparks.
Bye, Sparks.